Okay, so good evening, I Galen land, wherever you may be in North America, Malaysia, the Philippines, the United States, obviously Singapore, and Australia. This is John Gluckman. I'm calling from South Surrey, my backyard. It's a little cooler today. It's not as hot as it's been. And my guest tonight on the 7th of the Rubies and Above series is Brian McArthur, a legend in his own mind.
Works for me.
and the sponsor of Dory O'Neill, who is my personal sponsor. So, it's a real privilege to have a chance to interview Brian McArthur in Prince Edward Island. For those of you who are not Canadians, who don't know where Prince Edward Island is, it's on the eastern shore of the country. It's actually an island in the middle of the Atlantic near the St. Lawrence River. And it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. Brian is privileged to have lived there for a very long time. He's had an illustrious career in music as well as in sports and now in network marketing. The most important thing that you need to know about Brian is he and his wife have been fostering children for years and years and currently have some children in care. So Brian is a humanitarian before he's anything else. So without any further ado, Brian, come out and say hi and give us a quick indication of where you were before I Galen found you and some of the amazing things you've done in your illustrious life.
Thanks, John. Hi, everybody. Going back, I've been in networking for probably 18 to 20 years, and mostly always in health and nutrition. And what has happened and leading up to I Galen was the last three ones that I was in. Good products, but the amount that you had to spend every month to keep in them to do what I wanted to do, which was basically weight loss products, was running close to $400 a month. And so Bev Ellis, who was on the call here now too, she's my upline, and she called me. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and that is another thing with weight loss and whatever, trying to get my blood sugars better and more regulated. She called me and she said, I think you should look at this very quickly and see what you think. So I did. And then she arranged a phone call with Jana. And we talked with Jana for, probably 45 minutes. And as soon as I got off the phone, I joined I Galen and immediately cut my last company, the orders that I had, down basically to nothing. There was one product they had I probably will stay on. It's not very expensive. But I took about a week and I started to research I Galen, and I liked what I saw in comparison to any of the other companies that I had been with. The one thing, the last two that I've been in, their product line runs between 200 and 300 different items. And of course, they're pushing at least 1 to 2 to 3 different items every week wanting you to buy. One thing I liked about I Galen, we only have one. And especially for myself with being diabetic, I come on to see, and I've been on it ever since, and I have had very good success with it. It has helped control my blood sugars and also my blood pressure. When I was younger, well, I'm not that old now, but I mean, but when I was younger, don't laugh too much, girls. The conference is coming at the end of next month. I have a great memory, okay? And I'm not scared to get up on stage but when I was younger, in my early mid-20s, I played hockey, and I was a goalie, and I also caught in fastball. And I blew my shoulder out, and I never tore ligaments in my knees, but I pulled the ligaments in my knees. My shoulder, the doctor said he wouldn't do anything for me. And he said, we can operate, but may fix it, may not. So I suffered through it. And when I found none of the other products that I've been on have ever done anything for me. And when I get on I Galen, within 6 weeks, I noticed that my shoulder was not hurting me at all. And I went outside and I picked up some balls that we have around with the kids and whatever, and started tossing them. And I had no pain, and I could literally do what I was doing back in my mid-20s. My knees, I've always had, when I sit for a while to get up, it was always almost like using a jack where you're pumping yourself up. And that is gone, the same as walking up and down stairs. And the only thing that I've ever changed in whatever was the fact that I was using I Galen, Amulin, see. And I couldn't, attribute it to anybody, anything else. And that's when I started, okay, well, I now have a story that I can use when I go to talk to other people. And Bev Ellis said, how well do you know Dory? And I said, well, Dory and I talk every 2-3 months, and we have for 8-9 years. And she said, talk to him about this. And I said, nah, Dory's not doing network marketing anymore. And he said he was into advertising, and that's what he was going to stay in, because he had a company set up with about 15 people working for him. And so this went on for about 10 days. She said, you got to call him. Somebody else is going to call him on this. You're going to lose him. Of course, I was on her weak leg. So if I got Dory in there, then she doesn't have a weak leg. But anyway, getting back. So I called Dory. And for those of you who do know Dory now, Dory's got a wicked sense of humor that's a bit off the wall at times. And I remember, Dory, how are you? And I said, I want to talk to you about something. I'm not network marketing, Brian, and you know that. And I said, it's something I think you should look at. And he said, what I will do, I will look at it for you, and I will talk to a couple of my friends, and we'll go from there. And he said, I'll be about a week or 10 days before I have any information for you. And he called me back the next afternoon, and he said, I guess we're ready to go. And he said the 2 doctors that he talked to said they couldn't believe that he hadn't already signed up. He said, this is what they've been waiting for, this product. And the rest is history. Like, Dory's a great guy. I mean, you'll not find any better.
So,
but, oh, sorry.
Can I say a word in Edward?
Yep. Fire away.
So typically at the end of a statement like that, one would say, hello, mutter. So I'm just gonna, on my iPhone, on YouTube, I've got that song. Let me see if it'll come through on this thing here. Let me just start from the beginning. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Can you hear it?
Oh yeah.
Hello, Mata.
Hello, Fada. Here I am at Campground Mata. Campus very entertaining.
And they say we'll have some fun if it
stops raining.
I went hiking with Joe Spivey. He developed poison ivy. You remember Leonard Skinner? He got ptomaine poisoning last night after dinner. All the counselors hate the waiters, and the lake has alligators, and the head coach wants no sissies. So he reads to us from something called Ulysses. Now I don't want this should scare you, but my bunkmate has malaria. You remember Jeffrey Artie? They're about to organize a searching party. Take me home, oh mother, take me home. I hate Granada, don't leave me out in the forest where I might get eaten by a bear. Take me home, I promise.
Well, that was a good interlude. For those of you that are probably 50 or 60 and over, you'll remember that. But for the younger crowd on here, this doesn't make any sense to you. But this is where the expression "Hello, Mother" came from, I think. But
basically, yes.
so, Brian, one thing I'll point out to you that your camera has you completely onto one side, so you're not centered at all. Perhaps just move your screen or else. Yeah, much better. So one of the things that I was interested in having you tell us a little bit about was your musical career, which was quite an established career. So why don't you tell us what you did there?
Yeah. I started in about 65. Always had a pretty good voice. Pat myself in the back. And a bunch of guys had started a band, and they were looking for a lead singer. And they asked me, and I said, why not? Good for a few laughs. And it turned into 35 years. 15 years with the original band. And we were a 6-piece group. We were a cover band, but we played 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And we were a good band. We had people in the band that went on to play with the Toronto Symphony. We had people that played in with several country and western stars. Charlie Pride was one of them. He was a lead guitar player for Charlie Pride for a number of years. And we had a great time, but met a lot of people. And at one time or another, I probably met everybody that's between 50 and 75 on PEI. I probably met them at one time or another because we played everywhere. Okay. And, you know, like it was an enjoyable time of my life. I enjoyed singing. And, you know, but anyway, my wife sort of corralled me down when I got to be about 50. She said, "You're too old for the nonsense." So I agreed with her, and I got to.
So let me ask something. So one of the things that we always hear about people that are talented musically is that it's no way to make a living unless you're a superstar. So were you able to create any kind of a pension out of your singing career?
Not really, because we spent as quick as we got. But I mean, if you go back into the early 70s, in the days back then, we'd be playing 4 nights a week, and we're probably making between $500 and $600 a week. So if you extrapolate that out to today's time, you know, it's what, $2,000 to $3,000 a week.
That's good money.
Yeah, like and on top of that, we were having a hoot. I mean, you know, you got 6 guys up on stage. We were all 18 to about 25, and every one of us single.
Yeah.
Like we were, I was working.
I don't want to,
you know. Oh no, I'm not getting that. No, no, why not? But you know, it was an enjoyable time. But in all fairness, when I was playing at that, it sure got me over being shy with approaching people.
Yeah, that's right. Now, did you have a career outside of music as well?
Oh yes, I worked in sales with Coca-Cola, and then with Case IH, International Harvester.
So how long were you pushing sugar?
Oh, about 9 years.
Oh my goodness.
But I wasn't in the sales end of it. I was the plant foreman.
Okay.
And I was in charge of running the plant and ordering product in and the whole thing.
So you saw the reality of the poison that we were.
Oh, Bubba, you know, and I mean, when I think now of what I did back when I was younger, it's a wonder I'm still alive, because with everything that went on at the time, with what we ate, what we drank, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then what I know now from the last couple of businesses that I was in, and now especially from I Galen, literally it's surprising in regards to that how much damage is done to our system.
Well, obviously, give you a foundation to really appreciate and have a more powerful story when you talk to people today about this unique product that we have and this unique time in history where people really need to know about this information. So going back to current I Galen, you reached the level of Ruby a while back.
Yeah.
You've got a huge leg on Dory's side with something like 17 million points. And how's the other side coming? How is your building coming on the other side?
It has been slow, but it is now starting to pick up. When I brought in, I've got about 14 personals on my other leg. And what happened, some of them, because of their jobs, were in a position where they couldn't do anything until the end of summer. Right. And now they're starting to get into the swing of things. And like a lot of people, I don't know whether it was the way that I was explaining things to them, but they were having trouble understanding some of the things. Like I process, how you deal with people and things like I Galen and whatever very quickly. And they were having trouble with it, and I wasn't getting it across, but all of a sudden something started to click with 2 or 3, and then we expanded out from that. And I'm hoping that by the time I go to Vegas, that I will be emerald, and I won't be diamond. I'm not going to say won't, but I'll never say never. But I am going for diamond for Vegas. But if I'm not diamond by Vegas, I will be very shortly thereafter.
Good. Well, obviously it's a very good time for all of us to wake up some of the people on our team that have kind of been sleeping through the summer. With all the, I sent you an email this afternoon. I don't know if you received it. That summarized about 8 or 9 different calls that are going to be taking place in the next couple of weeks. So we have a very busy schedule and all kinds of announcements coming. And obviously in the lead up to the convention, there's a lot of excitement because of what Dory, Jana, and I saw in San Diego. So perhaps you could tell us why you think it's that important to be at convention. If you have a chance financially to make it to convention, why should you get there, and how much should you stretch to get there at this time?
I would stretch almost as much as I could even dream of. I've been to a couple of conferences with other businesses, and they were quite a bit bigger than this one. They were in the 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people range. And what I saw, and for those, how I felt when I come out of it was enlightening, to say the least. What I like about I Galen is, number one, and this is why as many people as possible should be going to this, and that is they're not going to have 8 or 10 or 15,000 people. There's only going to be 600, 700 in that area. And we're going to get literally a chance to meet all the leaders, all the scientists coming in, and have our questions answered. And I talked with Bev today, and we talked a little bit about having all the people that are going to Vegas from our area and on our teams. We're going to have a Zoom call, perhaps a week or 10 days beforehand, and go through a series of questions that each of us want to have answered, and to make sure that we have them written down so that we don't forget them. Okay. And also to make sure that, like, I'm a diabetic, I want to find out different things in how the new products are going to affect me as a diabetic. But other people should be looking at other things. If everybody looks at what happens with diabetes, they'll forget something else that should be looked at also. Yeah. And I mean, the thing, like I'm a mouthpiece. I have no fear on going.
We haven't noticed.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Mother. I have no fear of going and talking to anyone. And I am what I am. And I look at it, I'm 70 years old. What are they going to do to me? You know, what can they do to me? I enjoy what I do. I have no fear in approaching people. And I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman yesterday, and I mentioned about the possibility that we're having the stem cells come with our company by the end of next month. And he said, "Oh, our company's already got them." I said, "Oh." I said, "Who brought them to the surface in your company?" And he said, "Oh, our scientists within the company. They're a big company." I said, "Okay." I said, "How many Nobel Prizes have they received or been nominated for?" "Oh, nobody gets nominated for those." I said, "Well, our company has 2. And he never said another word. And about a minute later, he said, "I'm busy for 2 weeks. Send me the information on your company. We'll talk in 2 weeks' time."
So that's one of your aces in the hole when you try and recruit people, as you talk about the science-based nature of our company and the acclaim that some of our scientists have generated. But you know, obviously, you know, and I know that in the next 6 months, we're going to be hit with an amazing number of new products, from the stem cell release enhancing products, the brain product, the sheep collagen product. There'll be probably protein shakes and protein bars along the way. There'll be low glycemic sugar. There'll be low sodium salt. There'll be white bread mix, low glycemic. So we're going to be inundated with some amazing products. And the challenge will be that we'll need to educate a lot of people on a lot of products very, very quickly. Are you up for the task?
Hello, Mother. And I want to tell you something. The calls that we have, that Jana has, that John Gluckman has, and the one every 2 weeks coming from corporate, I recommend highly as many people as possible get on those calls, because I miss very few. And the thing is, I learn something from every call that we have. And not only that, I meet everybody. Like, I've met Debbie Ward both on every call pretty well, and also out in Vancouver when I was there. I'm looking forward to meeting Tracy Boyko in when we go down. And the same with you, Ron, and I know your name is not Gale, but you're Mr. Gale up at Granger. But what it amounts down to is we're making a series of connections that you become a family. And the one thing that I had a couple of people talk to me about, and that was, well, how old is the company? And I said, well, the product's been around about 4 to 5 years, but they turned to network marketing back in February of this year. And once they knew that the product had been there for 4 or 5 years, that just calmed them as far as being worried about the brand new network marketing company. And I know with the number of people that are in at the core, and I've talked with Jana a little bit about this, not very much, but a little bit. And it's so easy to stay committed when you have a series of people that you can go and talk to. Like Nancy Kelly, who was one of my personals, I talk to her at least once a day, just to bug, make sure she's awake in the morning and whatever. Now, to get Bev awake in the morning, that has to be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Gosh, I love doing that to Bev.
Too much information here.
Oh, hello, mother. But I guess our group is becoming closer and closer. And like, I know that for instance, if I really need help in talking to someone that I can call Debbie and utilize her expertise in regards to talking with people with anywhere from acupuncture on through to, and to you, John, with physiotherapy and et cetera. I know I have no consult. Geez, I don't want to be bothering them. Geez, that'd never stop me, but I mean, my way of thinking, it's not a bother if it's going to grow the business, whether it is mine personally, or if it is mine personally, it's the company's business too.
Yeah. So Brian, we usually, near the conclusion of these calls, we ask our guests to try and impart, 1 or 2 major gems or teaching moments that they'd like to be remembered for, because obviously this tape's going to be around for a while. So what would be your comment that you'd want people to remember about this business?
When I'm talking to someone that is new, number one, I don't make inflated assumptions to them about the product. I am completely upfront and honest with them. I tell you one thing, the best thing that ever happened to me when I started taking them was the effect that I found on both my shoulder, my knees, and my diabetes, because then I do have the story to tell of what it has done for me. But I know I talked to one person today, and he asked me literally, he said, "When are you going to stop calling me?" And I said, "How many times have I called you?" And he said, "This is the 11th. And I said, "Normally they're signed up by 9. When are you coming on?" And he started to laugh, and he said, "Well, the Emulin itself doesn't turn me on." But he said, "What is coming?" And I said, "We have a stem cell releaser." And he said, "Bingo." So it's just a matter of, but you keep talking to them. Don't let them tell you, well, when they say no, it's just not a right time. So you just keep on going again.
So
and
the message is never quit.
No. And like all the times I could have given up on them and walked away from them. And I could have come off the phone at different times and said, "Oh, the nut, da-da-da-da-da-da-da," but I never have. And I said, I can't wait to talk to him again, especially when I'm on one of the calls and I learn some new information. And this is the importance of being on these calls. Because when you say, "Aha, I'm going to call so-and-so and tell them this," because you never know when it will turn them around to coming onto the business. And the one guy that I've tried to, he said, "I'm not going to do network marketing, but I'm going to look at selling the product." And the first thing that happened to me was Janet, the girl out of Edmonton, Alberta, that did the same thing, and all of a sudden brought in about 150 people. You know, because there's always some gem that sticks in the back of my mind. Two things that I really focus on big time, and that is, number one, health for people, and also wealth that can be generated from that. And one goes with the other almost when we're doing the business that we're doing right now. And I cannot wait for some of the products that they're coming. You know, it's going to be quite enthralling.
We've got 7 weeks to go, Brian, and
can't wait. Jana knows that already.
We're gonna see you and most of the people on this call in Las Vegas, I'm sure. So it's past 7. What I usually do is I open it up for a few minutes for people to ask some questions. Are you okay with that?
No problem.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute everybody for a minute here, and let's see what comes up. Who wants to ask Brian a question?
Brian?
Yes.
I want you to tell everyone the personal growth that you've experienced already in 8 months and what it means to you in terms of value.
The value that I've got out of I Galen is not dollars and cents. I want to tell people this is the best I have felt in probably 20 years, maybe longer. I just feel great. And like when I go to talk to anybody or any of my people call me and we talk, I can't wait to talk about it because it's not, well, I am a bit, but I mean, I am only now starting to understand what it has done for me and how I can put it on to other people that I'm talking about. The more I understand and the more I feel comfortable with it, the better I can explain it to, like that individual that I've talked to 10 or 11, 12 times. I'm more comfortable talking to him about how I feel and what can help him. And he is feeling that. He knows that.
Okay. And Jana, I understand what you're saying. I'm just interrupting for a second, John, but I've seen a big personal development growth with Brian, and it's, yeah, it's great. He has a great sense of humor and keeps everything light, but yet he's come along. It's come a long way. We've all come a long way. It's a wonderful company, and Jana, and great leader, and we thank Dr. Gluckman for these calls.
Hello. One thing I can say to that, how I can be so light and sense of humor. My wife's family had 14 kids in it. And I'm only one of 2 Protestants in the whole family. When we were going through, we had I was teased all the time, but I enjoyed it immensely. They're a great family. And another thing too that John is also, I don't know whether he even mentioned it tonight. My wife and I are foster parents. Michelle, she's a foster parent in Vancouver, and we've been fostering for about almost 17 years now. And we've had about 70 to 75 children through our homes. And my wife has one that she was adopted. And we had her for 5 years. She FaceTimes her all the time. And, stayed great. It's a wonderful time. It's a great thing to be in. But anyway, anybody else?
Thank you, Brian.
No problem.
Any last question for Brian? Comment?
I bet you it's my speaker was wearing off charge.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
All right.
And
I was catching half of it all broke up, but I think the biggest thing is just go for it, right, Brian?
You got it. I'm not scared about calling anybody. I have about, I'd call the queen if I thought I could get through to her and present it to her. I guess it has to do with how I feel and what the product has done for me. My wife is taking the product and has said good results. She will never talk about it. I'd love to get her on here, but she'd kill me. And but it's just a feeling, and I mean, I've never felt this in any other company. I've never felt this way in any other network marketing company that I've been in. And I've been retired since for 15, 16 years. And I've worked other companies as hard as this, but never with this conviction.
Brian, thank you so much for your call. I want to just call on Kelly Dom to say a couple of words because she's next guest. So Kelly, come out and say a few words. You're unmuted.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm taking it all in because I'm listening to Brian tonight. I listened to Tammy, and I'm pretty excited about next week. It'll be a little bit rushy to get home because I work shift work, and I have a company commitment that day, but I'm leaving early so I can get on the computer. So I might have a ball cap on, and because we're doing some golfing with the team at work. But I am going to make it next week, and I'm excited to share my story and what brought me into the company. And I can't wait for Vancouver, you guys, or sorry, for Las Vegas, you guys, just to meet all of you guys. I was going to touch base with Vancouver. I met some of you there, and definitely kept in touch with quite a few. And I'm so blessed to have such a good group that shares information and wants everybody to succeed. It's definitely a team, and I've gotten a team which I call them business partners. So anyhow, I'm excited.
Don't give us your whole talk, okay?
I won't. No, but I am excited for next week, you guys. So hope to see some of you there.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Brian. So I think this, we're already almost at 7:10. So I'm going to shut this thing down for tonight and wish you all a terrific week. For those of you that are interested in the Australian situation and business, tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Pacific time, Dr. Rajen is doing a call. If you don't have the information, just go on Facebook. You'll find it somewhere. Cheryl Ann Porter. She'll get you straight on that. It's 5 o'clock Pacific. Then on Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m., Dr. Rajen and Costa are talking to us about convention. That came in your email today. Look for that. Then next week, Monday and Tuesday, we have the regular Jana Calls Monday and the Diamond Run on Tuesday. And then, of course, next Thursday is Kelly. A week after Kelly, on January 21st, mark that in your calendar, we're having Dr. Rajen for the full hour on this call. So we're going to skip one movie for that week, and that'll be on the 21st. And that'll be a month before convention, so expect some very interesting information on that call. So with that, good night, and just get to convention. Good night, and I'm stopping.
Good night, all, and thanks, John.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Take